Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Everybody.
Hello,
Hi.
everybody. Hi.
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 It's that time again.
that time
but
again.
it's also not.
It's also not.
Hello, everybody.
Are you repeating everything I say?
Of course, I have to make it about that. We all know what this is really about. You just want me to get that abortion.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hello, we're talking about airplane. I'm Random Bystander here.
I'm shocked a Kirby fan for making an abortion reference.
And I've never been so scared in my life, but at least I have a husband.
Okay.
Well,
so
if we were monetized, this is to be the video where we did get demonetized.
So, we finished up Cinemathon, and we had we started to give ourselves a little extra time, and we like movies, and we especially like comedies, and we figured that let's just do a one-off because there was just no chance. There are some movies that we really like or we really want to talk about that just have no context really. Like we're not gonna make a Abraham Zucker podcast. God no, we're not gonna do that because the majority of their films are horrible. But you know, here's the thing, because we talked about doing a one-off podcast episode about certain film, and I remember I pitched a particular film which I won't mention just yet in case we actually go for it, and then both of you I remember went like no, if we're gonna do one it has to be Airplane.
Yes.
Yep.
Because
Why?
it has to be.
But why Airplane? Let's
Why? Because it's so absurd and one of a kind.
So I guess as I think about it, it is kind of a good, because we've had two podcast series now. We just finished two podcast series, both of them about animation, and so I guess it is appropriate to have something since we're coming up to the Edgar Wright podcast where we'll be doing all live action. I guess this is a good in between. It is
because even though it's live action, it's basically a cartoon.
You know what? Let's do what we've doing the Pixar perspective. Our history with this film.
Oh, this is interesting.
That's another thing that Cinemathon lacked.
Yeah, that too. This
yeah.
world.
I mean, actually, no, for you two.
Yeah,
no, I talked about my history. That's true.
Yeah. Who wants to go first? I can mention mine, or
I guess I'll go first, but it's hard for me to say because. It's unlike Pixar films where it's like there's a long history. With Airplane, it's one of those films that is like I've seen it a good amount of times, but not to the extent of, because my parents were they really enjoy comedy. They like showing me comedies, especially Mel Brooks films. Like, good lord, like I could do a whole like Mel Brooks podcast. I don't want to, but I could.
Maybe one day.
Don't. No. But Airplane was because there are a lot of really good Mel Brooks comedies, but some of them are just kind of obscure. Airplane is almost an institution unto itself. It's like Ghostbusters or Star Wars. Even if you haven't seen it, you know it.
Yes.
Like you've viewed the GIF of the one passenger having a panic attack and everybody slapping her in the face. Like
you use the GIF of the guy of the pilot sweating profusely.
Yes, of the pilot sweating profusely. There's so many wonderful visual gags in this, and it's just one of the things that like you know it. Everybody knows this.
Yes.
And so. It was coming back to this, and it was I guess it was like part familiarity and part like just coming in freshly faced, cause the only thing that I really say about it is that I remember watching the first time I watched it was on a broken DVD, so a good portion of the DVD got skipped over because it was so scratched.
Oh.
I have the Blu-ray for it, but I don't remember much about the Blu-ray. But what I remember is that in college, Netflix happened to have both Airplane and Airplane 2 the sequel. And so I watched it back to back, and that was a terrible idea because Airplane 2 the sequel is god awful. But I feel like I'm gonna save that for later on in the discussion because terrible movie. Terrible. But random. I know that the one thing I know about you is that your dad liked this movie.
Yes, he did. But that's not how I got introduced to it, believe it or not.
Oh.
He was a big fan of it, but I guess he never watched it around me because my mom hated it, but he loved it. It was one of those type of movies.
It's definitely like a movie for dads.
Yeah.
It's like
without a doubt.
Yeah, it's such crude comedy. Yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
I will say I was heavily involved with the community of the streamer Nega Oryx. And she would have a movie night every once in a while, and I would attend whenever I could. And I just remember it being late at night. I came home from work and made it just in time for the movie night of Airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I watched it for the first time. Sharing the app Rabid in a chat room, watching just people watching the jokes, watching people react to the jokes on chat. It was just so much fun. And because I was experiencing it the first time with other people. It wasn't quite like how you watched Your Name, Kirby fan, because you had live interactions, but it was the digital version of that, I guess. And it was just fun seeing just all the jokes happen for the first time. Just oh my god, this is just so dumb funny. and I was just laughing every second of all the stupid jokes. And I don't know what possessed my dad to ask my dad, but I was like, hey dad, do you know about Airplane? He's like, oh, Airplane, I love that movie. And we watched it, I think it was on cable at one point, shortly after, and we watched it again. And I just really fell in love with all the jokes and comedy and stuff. Mm-hmm. And there was come to a point, I wonder, do Kirby Fan and Wash know about this movie? We need to watch this movie together. And then I'll let you finish that, Kirby Fan.
Thank you. This works. So, my history with the film is the briefest, but it left the biggest impact on me out of a lot of things. I was hanging out with my good friends, RandomBystanderHere in the Wash, and as Random said, he had bought up Airplane, and Wash, having seen the movie, oh, I love it. What the heck is Airplane? It's a thing you fly on. What, is a movie? What the? I had no idea. Shocked. Both of them immediately said, we're watching it. And I said, hold on. Before, I just want to make sure. I don't know anything about this, but I only watch animated movies. This is a cartoon, right? They both look at each other, they look at me, and they go, yeah.
In a way.
And I'm like, all right, okay, we'll watch the movie. Turn it on. Obviously, it's live action. I have my doubts. Very quickly, I understood what they meant. And the rest is history. Watched the movie, and I liked it, putting it lightly. We'll go into whether or not I still like it, but the first time I watched it, which was the only time I watched it, it was a ride.
Thing about it being a cartoon, it's very appropriate for it because that's kind of the mentality you have to give to it. Because you can't. That was part of why I was a little bit reserved about us going immediately with Airplane. Because what can you say other than it's funny?
Well, we could talk about how it's funny, why it's funny.
We could start by talking about the plot synopsis.
Oh,
who wants to give the plot synopsis?
I'm really bad with names for these characters.
I know the names, yeah.
Do you want to do it then, Wash?
Okay.
Yeah, it's really weird. Just forewarning. I can remember the names of all the Japanese characters from CinemaSon. I got none of these names. I got Johnny. That's about the only name I have.
Yeah, yes. I got.
How about some coffee? How about some coffee, Johnny? No thanks. We'll talk about Johnny. Don't you worry.
Oh, we will.
Yes. But yes. So plot of this. Basically, what happened is three comedy writers from Milwaukee they once watched the movie 0 Hour from 1957 or 1956, and they said, hey, let's copy the plot of this 30-year-old movie beat by beat, and then they put it in they put it out in theaters. And so that's exactly what this is. It is beat for beat the plot of 0 Hour. It is about a guy named it's Ted and Elaine are the big names. Are the big main characters. Ted is a war pilot that's scared about flying, and Elaine is a old flame, I guess you could say. They've broken up since the war because he's just been too scared and just too stuck in the past.
Don't forget his drinking problem.
And his drinking. We'll get there. But Ted decides to follow after Elaine, and they try to mend their relationship. But at the same time, it turns out that one of the airport food that they had, the fish, is spoiled and it's making passengers sick. And more crucially, all of the available pilots, the pilot, the co-pilot, and the navigator, are all sick from the fish. So it looks like the only person with any flying credentials who is Ted Stryker, and he will have to take over from there. And that's the movie. It does not sound like a comedy at all, and that's because it is beat for beat the plot of a totally serious movie from the 50s that they decided to just spoof off of. Like it like Airplane is weird because like on paper there's nothing funny about it. Like it's from that plot there's nothing like inherently funny about any of that. But it's just kind of the way everything goes that just enhances everything. It's it's the way everything goes, and B, it's the way everyone in the movie is 100% straight faced about it.
Yes,
and that's
almost everyone.
There's some smaller stuff, but like it's not nearly to the extent of so many like comedies, including Airplane 2: The Sequel. Fuck that movie.
Okay, we're talking about the regular. Is Airplane 2 your good dinosaur?
Okay, the trouble with Airplane 2 is that it is Airplane 1, but directed by people who don't understand what made Airplane funny. Like the plot of Airplane 2 is that it's Airplane but in space, because it was like space travel is stupid as fuck. And
okay.
the directors of the movie, they've never even seen Airplane 2 because they were like, that plot doesn't make any sense. Why would you satirize something that doesn't exist yet? It's terrible.
So let's talk about why Ted Stryker had a drinking problem.
Yes.
Well, he had a drinking problem because he was having flashbacks of like cartoonists of airplane inventions.
and Elaine had doubts about their relationship.
And doubts about the relationship. But it was doubts about the relationship because Ted Stryker killed some men in a
war.
In some sort of battle. What I liked was they're having the romantic kiss in the beach. And he's saying like they want me in tomorrow. We're gonna be going to dust and dust and dust. We're gonna be coming in north. assessing the shot. And Elaine says, "When will we be back?" And he says, "That's classified." I love
God.
that's the kind of comedy we're working with here. It is fully stupid.
It's so stupid.
It's so there are a lot of puns in this movie, and I really appreciate that, but there are so many jokes that the punchline doesn't make any logical sense.
There's so many jokes of wordplay too.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are basic puns in this movie, like towards the end they talk about like dump all the lights or whatever, and it's just a truck literally dumping lights. But there's stuff like Roger, over.
Roger.
Clarence. What's our vector, Victor?
What's our vector, Victor?
It's just such great wordplay. All right. I can't. When are we due to land? I can't tell you. Well, can you take a guess? Not for another 2 hours. You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?
No, I mean, we can't land for another 2 hours. It's so straight-faced.
No, because what I love about that exchange is that right before that was another pun. It's like, how soon can we land? I can't tell. You can tell me I'm a doctor.
You can tell me I'm a doctor.
One of the greatest. We're jumping all over the place because again, where do you start with airplane? But
yeah, you don't. It just you start in the airport. But honestly, there's just so many jokes. Like, there's layer after layer after layer of jokes, and some jokes that come back, some jokes that are like repetition is the mother of skill, and where it's like that does the rule of threes. There's some jokes that are just stupid. There's some jokes that age well, and there's some jokes that don't age well.
Oh yeah, there are a good amount that don't age well. Yeah, which is unfortunate. There's some I don't know like how influential this movie was. It's so many things that like it's kind of like a Charlie Chaplin effect where it's like Charlie Chaplin is like so influential that like everybody copies Charlie Chaplin, and so when you watch his old stuff, it's like it doesn't hold up, but only because everybody was copying him. And so I don't know. I'm wondering if that's like some of the same thing is happening in Airplane, where there's so many jokes that's like everybody has done. But Airplane just kind of did it to such an extent.
Not to mention they were probably one of the first to do it.
Yeah, that I don't have so much a problem with, but stuff like speaking jive, that's
okay.
Okay.
That is not aged well.
That is very poorly. I will add, since because it is funny we mentioned the speaking jive, is that I was doing some research, which I haven't gotten to do since Pixar's Spectrum. I was so excited about that. But I was doing some research, and I was surprised to learn that like the actors themselves actually created the dialogue for that. Because I remember like when I watched that and I got to the jive talking, I was like, oh, here we go. But when I was like listening to like what they were actually saying, I was surprised at like how coherent it actually was, that you could actually follow it along pretty well. It was still like shitty that it was like treating quote jive as a language, which the actors themselves had said like no, it's not. But it was interesting that like they like the writers like they gave them this, and they was like, okay, what can we do with this? Like how can we make this make sense? It was honestly like good on them for that. This could have so easily just been like really shitty, and it was like pretty bad. But it has some like genuine heart to it that I can still appreciate, at least for the actors themselves. Like good on them.
The fact that they were able to make up the lines themselves does make it a little better.
Yeah. I guess I'll give it that. Yeah, I can buy that not being done of ill intention, which is important.
Yes. Yeah. It's still like not
it's
still
not
funny.
good. It's still not good, but it's one of those things where you can't get upset at the people behind it. It's just more of, I mean, it's still technically because of them, but they made the best of what they could do.
Yeah. I'm more impressed with the actors themselves for how they tried to make the best out of this situation. So yeah. But also the thing is that the jive talking is you can't even say it's like a subplot. It's just like it was just like one running gag out of 20.
There are a lot of running gags. There's
not even any subplots. It's just jokes after jokes after jokes.
There really aren't any subplots. There's just the main plot and the jokes.
Well, there is subplot technically because there is the internal conflict of the romance and the secondary conflict, the external of the plane and the poisoning. And
the landing the plane and the passengers being poisoned are much more upfront than the relationship between Ted and Elaine.
Yeah. But you could say because like before like Airplane, the Abraham Zucker, before that they made a sketch film called Kentucky Fried Movie, which I still haven't seen. And so like when they did this, they didn't have any idea how to do like plot, which was why they just copied beat for beat 0 Hour and then just kind of built off of that. And it was and so like all the actual plot is from another movie. And it was just them trying to like punch up on it. And it's got like a weird thing where it's like there is genuine like there is a small emotional core, mainly with the romance, but that's the stuff that they were making fun of.
Exactly.
Yeah. What a pisser.
Looks right at the camera and says
the line that she said right before is line for line. Whatever you're doing, listeners, go on YouTube and look up Airplane 0 Hour. There are so many comparison videos, and it is shocking to see how upbeat, like line for line, word for word, they just like the line with the well, we had what did we have to eat? Well, we had two choices: the steak and the fish. And in the original, the doctor said, "Yes, I remember. I had the steak." In the Airplane, he said, "Yes, I remember. I had lasagna."
Yes, I had lasagna.
Speaking of the doctor.
Oh my God! We're gonna have a whole. Oh, good. If there's one thing that like to always like bless Airplane 4 is bringing us Leslie Nielsen as a comedy star because
he did a lot of drama. He only did drama before this, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yep. Did a lot of stuff. I know he's most famous for, I think it's called Forbidden Planet. He's done a lot of like drama stuff. But he's always the funny thing is that he's always wanted to do a comedy, and he's always wanted to be in a comedy because in real life he's an extreme goofball. Like there are so many like all the actors have their own stories about Leslie Nielsen and this little machine he has in his hand so he could like fart on command. And he has this bit. I cannot recommend enough. Like there's an AV Club oral history of Airplane. I cannot recommend it enough. Mostly because of all the different stories of Leslie Nielsen trying to act like really serious, and then he's like pretending to like fart like uncontrollably, and he having like he's looking like sick in the stomach. Like there's like two. There's one of them tells a story about like an extra being like, "Oh, there's Leslie Nielsen. I'm gonna go talk to him." And she walks over, and then she comes back, and she's like, "I can't. Can you believe what he's done?" He was such a goofball. Rest in peace. It's such a shame that he's no longer with us, but like God bless him for Airplane, for Naked Gun, even for all the shitty, scary movies that they put him in, because God damn it, he gave it his all in the comedy department. And
it was honestly, I think the fun fact was he was known as a dramatic actor, and the fact that he was playing this super straight in a comedy just made it even funnier.
Exactly. He played it just like he would play a serious role. I mean, everybody did.
But he was like, his timing was great.
You tried your best. And I really mean your best.
Oh God!
I think the man next to me is a doctor. Excuse me, sir, are you a doctor? You just see it with stethoscope.
That's right.
That's the kind of comedy that we have to work with here. It is
Good luck. Just want to say, we're all counting on you.
When the plane's shaking, I just want to say good luck. We're all counting.
I'm counting on you.
The plane's landed.
Just wanted to say, good luck. We're all counting on you. Isn't that his closing line of the movie too?
I think it
Like
is.
that's his last
I
line
think
of
it
the
might be. He goes to be saying that while everybody's already left the plane.
Yes.
Oh God, he's one
Well,
of the
you gotta
funniest
remember, there's at least one person still on the plane, and that's autopilot.
things. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Autopilot.
Otto, good old Otto, and the
better Otto than the one from Pixar Spectre.
Wah. The word that weird because like at the end like he flies the plane away like a hero, but like what was weird I always found this weird with that he suddenly had like an eyelid that was very clearly supposed to be
Yes.
for a wink. It's,
Yes.
it's so like unnatural of an
I know.
of an eyelid, like it's so obviously supposed to be used for something.
I mean, knowing Airplane, for all we know, that's 100% intentional. We
Oh
just-
yeah, definitely intentional. All the jokes in this one intentional, and it was even like it knew it was parodied back then because he was making reference to like pop culture. Like there was a reference to a basketball player who I have no idea who he is now.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the co-pilot on the plane. We have the in the credits, Otto like spins his head around like the Exorcist.
And introducing Otto as himself.
There is apparently a Godfather reference with the horse in the bed. I think it's a Godfather reference. There's
I forgot about the horse in the bed.
there's so many references that just mean nothing to us like nowadays. Like the couple in the plane, where it's like would you like a second cup of coffee? I'll have one, but Jim won't. Actually, I will have a second cup of coffee. Jim never has a second cup of coffee at home. That's a reference to a coffee commercial but that coffee commercial hasn't aired in 40 years. But it's just weird, like on its own, because it's given like so much attention to itself, and it's like what?
They even use the same actress and actor. I think.
They did, and they didn't even realize that they did.
Jim never vomits at home.
And even though that no one may get the commercial, the fact that they add the whole vomiting scene after Jim never vomits at home, that just made the joke work.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many things where it's like the line on its own. There's like a scene on its own that's not very. It's either not funny or just weird, but then it just turns out to be like payoff for later. Like at the very beginning, Elaine enters the airport, and one of the religious zealots, I can't remember what they were pitching for, but here's a free flower. Would you like to make a donation to such and such? Oh, no, thank you. And then the music just keeps going. But then it turns out that those religious zealots become a running gag during this, and it pays off big time with the pilot that was entering the airport and just like beating the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
Church of Scientology. How about Buddhism?
How about Buddhism? Oh.
More nuclear power?
Oh God, it's great. That pilot did a good job too.
No, if we're talking about stupid jokes with payoff, very beginning of the movie, the guy gets in the taxi.
Yes.
I'll be a minute. End of the movie.
Well, I'll give him another 20 minutes. But that's it.
It's great. It's just there's a lot of good jokes. The reference to Saturday Night Fever. I think it was a reference to Saturday Night Fever.
It is a reference to Saturday Night Fever. I noticed that they played Staying Alive, and for some reason it's sped up slightly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's glaringly noticeable that it's sped up.
But
Yeah.
it's so funny.
Yeah, it's still funny. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I think they did it just to get a laugh.
I think they sped it up because there's a part towards the end of that dance where Ted does the famous like Saturday Night Fever John Travolta pose, and he's like doing it to the beat, and I'm wondering if they like sped it up just so they could match that beat, because like why else would you have it sped up?
Because it's funny.
But it's like it's sped up only like slightly. It's not like Chipmunk sped up. It's just like a tiny bit. I never got that.
Because it's funny.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
As you've been saying, this is the kind of movie we're working with.
It does stupid jokes whenever it takes every opportunity it can to tell a joke in a serious film. Every single opportunity.
That's what part of what makes it like a little harder to talk about is that it's like the red line of comedy.
When we were discussing, red line has been in my mind frequently.
Yeah, just like the there is like the basics of plot and the basics of character just enough to keep you along, but most of it is just like the absolute spectacle of it all. Like we said,
how crazy it is.
It's so nuts, and we said earlier, it is a ride, and which is very much what Redline was, like just like absolute chaotic nutso stuff, and it's just spamming jokes. So even if there was like one joke that was like, that didn't really that wasn't that funny, there's already another one speeding right along.
Yes.
Yep. You know what this movie also has? It has a lot of background gags.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
One of the ones that always stood out to me is that they're in this this bar that's so bad, only the lowest of the low are in it. But when it comes time to when there's nobody in it, they actually have like a janitor to clean things up. I always appreciated that so much.
And then at the end, you just and don't forget with the Girl Scouts fighting throughout the
Yes,
thing.
the Girl Scouts are still fighting.
You think there's a bar fight going on? It's like think it's someone tough, but no, it's just two Girl Scouts.
I mean, they're violent.
And just the point where you like see them fighting, and then they start the jukebox, and everyone starts dancing. And then like during the end of the dance with Elaine and Ted Stryker. They start fighting again, and then at the very end when they're doing their slow dance and the janitor's cleaning up, you just see a Girl Scout just get launched onto the ground, and then it's just the flashback.
That's one long fight. These Girl Scouts are tenacious.
They are. Don't mess with their cookies.
But I mean, there are background gags like everywhere.
This one is not so much a background gag as a background detail, but I think it might have been a gag in the editing where there's a point where the Jim Never Has a Cup of Coffee at Home lady she's feeling like really sick, and Leslie Nielsen comes in and she starts like puking up eggs, and they do like a magic trick.
Oh no, that wasn't the lady. That wasn't the cup of coffee lady. That was the Ronald Reagan film lady.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was the same woman.
No, they're different. They're different.
But yeah, there is a point where eggs come out.
I
of his
do
mouth.
remember though, her husband, the egg lady, her husband. There's one point where they're just focused on the camera's focused on all the passengers. There's just a brief minute of silence, and then he just stands up and goes, "What's going on here? We deserve to know the truth."
But going back to the egg lady, whoever it was, I guess there's so many like faceless passengers for me. But like the background detail was like for the third egg that Leslie Nielsen pulls out, he cracked it on the table and a dove flies out, and if they keep the shot going, and you can see that the dove flew to the back of the airplane, and then there's one passenger that freaked out because it flew right over his head. Yeah. And that was definitely not intended, but that was just something that they found in edit, and it's we're keeping that.
Oh yeah, that was great. Is there anything that was your favorite joke?
Favorite joke?
That's hard. I'm gonna have to
so hard.
I know. I just thought about it, and it's hard for me too.
I'm scrolling through my because I put in a lot of notes for this movie, mostly just some of my favorite lines.
The funniest character was Johnny. I can say that.
Yes.
Oh, we'll talk about Johnny. We'll definitely talk about Johnny.
But just thinking about a singular favorite, I feel like it's something from either Leslie Nielsen or Kramer, I think his name is. Captain Kramer or something like that.
The guy who had the double sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
my God, yeah.
Captain Kramer, played by Robert Stack. Yes.
That was such a dumb joke. No, because he has the pair of sunglasses on. He takes them off. There's another pair of sunglasses. The guy says something. He takes those sunglasses off, and there are his eyes.
Oh, it's so great. The guy he was talking to was pretty funny too. Yeah, and he had a running gag too. It's like I picked the wrong day to quit smoking.
I picked the wrong day to quit sniffing glue.
And he's like,
he jumps out the window. That's the last time you see him in the movie.
I think if I'm gonna go with like favorite, oh god, there is so many good jokes. If I'm going for the joke that's like up there, especially like a joke that I think about a lot, was like Ted Stryker first like sits down in the airplane and this old lady sitting next to says, "Nervous? Yes. First time? No, I've been nervous lots of times." That's the kind of joke that I love doing on like random stream, just like completely misunderstanding what he's saying.
I love when the old lady's like, "Oh, I can see why you're upset. She's beautiful. Nice thighs.
Supple pouting
soft breasts." It's just like really weird out of nowhere. From this like 80-year-old lady.
And then it gets dark with her because you get a running joke of her being first off, Ted's about to start telling a story, and then she's reading, and then you see and then he starts getting into it, and you just see her just give him a look like, really? and then it does the flashback, Saturday Night Fever. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't bore you," and he just slowly panned to her, like, hanged.
Yeah. It's such a horrible joke.
It's so bad. It's
so...
one of the darker jokes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would just have to be my favorite joke without thinking again. I'd have to watch the movie and really think to myself, what was your favorite joke? But at the end, when Kramer gets Ted Stryker to land the plane, congratulates him and everything, they all walk out, and then he just keeps talking.
And I just wanted to know.
It pans back later, and he's still talking about like how terrible of a holiday Christmas was for him. Did you ever get kicked on the head with an iron boot, Stryker? Never mind. That's a stupid question. Forgot I asked. Anyway.
Municipal bonds are the way of the future.
If I had to pick a favorite running gag, it would probably be the taxi. But without thinking, like without really sitting down and giving it thought, probably that sequence.
I think my favorite running gag. Oh, that's a tough one. Favorite running gag would probably be. I don't really know. I don't know.
Okay, there's this one that is like, I just want to point it out because like, I've seen this movie a few times. I saw this movie a few times, and it was only on this watch that I actually understood what was meant. Was he gets on the Ted Stryker finds out that like he's the only passenger who's able to fly, but it's like I've flown planes in a war, but this plane has 4 engines. It's an entirely different kind of flying altogether. It's an entirely different kind of flying.
Kind of flying altogether.
I didn't.
Did you really not get that joke?
I honestly just thought it was just them being like weird.
I mean, I could see why that would fly over you the first time. But that's like a hot fuzz joke.
Yeah, it is a hot fuzz.
The greats are good.
Oh no, the hot fuzz joke is the glue sniffing guy. I forget the actor's name. I'm very sorry. He's a fantastic actor. But earlier where the hell is Kramer? And he leans down on the deck, and there's a picture behind him that matches his exact pose. Yeah. That is a hot fuzz gag.
Yeah, it's great. Oh my god. Oh, you know what we haven't forgot about, and I think the movie forgot about her too? a sick girl with the heart transplant?
Yeah, it did. Oh, she showed up
Well,
at the
they were taking her off the plane at the end of the movie, and then the ambulance drove off, and then it crashed.
That's right. Yeah.
No, you know what the movie introduced and immediately forgot about, and it's like, good, keep it this way? The couple.
Oh my god, the couple in the plane where they were saying goodbye to each other?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then neither of them are in the movie again from that point onward.
Because it was literally just like, what if that classic like train scene, but on a passenger plane.
When the lady's trying to run and she's knocking stuff over, and she's just like, oh, goodbye.
All aboard!
But this watch, it's okay, it doesn't work.
It's such a cliched line. And she's like running like 70 miles an hour.
Yes.
And then you never see them again.
You never.
I'll take a picture, and as soon as I take it, I'll write it to you.
I'm pretty sure that like I wouldn't be surprised if they just found like another movie and just did like dialogue copying just for that scene, because it's like again, like on paper, like there's nothing funny about what they're saying, but it's in the context of everything that just makes it so stupid.
It's so stupid, but so great. There's a joke that I don't think aged well.
There's a lot of jokes that haven't aged well. The
Hey,
one
Joey, ever seen a grown man naked? Oh, that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
I get what the joke was, where they were going with it, but just especially starting with that.
Yeah, I kind of I did kind of like it a little more when it was just it was just being like a little more like subtle, but then like yeah, for some reason it just started right with that one. But the one I thought you were gonna talk about, because you were talking about the old lady who hung herself, and the two of the running gags, the way that the running gag continued on that were both with like two racial stereotypes, and like one of them is like a guy in like brown face, like
yeah. I my biggest problem with the movie is that, and especially right now, this is, I feel like if you're not white, you're not gonna be able to really get into the whole thing.
Yeah, that's one of the that is one of the
Yeah.
saddest things. Yeah, we are. This does kind of like punch down in a lot of respects. It is very unfortunate, just like how just all these like really poor
Like when they flew to the African island or whatever it was.
God.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I could really see was like Ted's narration being like it was clearly like American the American teaching technique that helped them out, and I guess that the like you could interpret that as like the American just being so like full of themselves that they don't think that like people from other nations wouldn't just pick up on this really quickly. But also, it's just like the joke is that black people are good at basketball. Like that's
I mean, that's not. It's just like if you're from Africa, you're like an ancient tribe stereotype.
yeah. It's that's the gross stuff.
I really got a good kick out of all the jokes about that George Zip guy or whatever his name was.
Yeah, George Zip.
And
yeah.
it sucks that one of them was during that part, because that one was probably the strongest one. It was, we have to go back to the U.S. and George Zip wanted to go back home, and it's like, that's funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
It had to be during that part.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes in here that's like funny if you like try to like isolate it from the surroundings of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the two like the two other people that are trying to like commit suicide again, it was just like wait, like if you like try to separate the racial stereotype, those are funny in themselves, but the problem is they're born out of racial stereotypes, which just makes it like frustrating for a lot of this. Can we talk?
Yeah.
Can we talk about Johnny?
Yes.
Let's talk about Johnny.
Oh god. Out of all the people who don't have a plate straight, Johnny is literally the only one who is like has the comedic tone to everything.
Oh
he's
yeah,
saying.
like every line he says is funny.
Yeah. Johnny played by Steven Stucker, who I remember. I think Random and I we watched the movie and then we looked.
Yeah, we watched the movie and then we Googled it, and
Yeah.
he passed away from AIDS.
Yes, he did. He passed away from AIDS, only a few years after this movie. I think really unfortunate. Just because goddamn, he is so good at this.
Yeah, he's so funny.
He's really good. He's really funny.
So many of those lines is stuff that it was just here, Steven, we're gonna give you this scene. What can you make out of this? and so this we gotta go over to the tower, Rapunzel.
Johnny, what do you make of this? Well, I can make a hat. I can make a brooch.
A little pterodactyl. Mayday. Well, that's a Russian New Year.
The fog is getting thicker, and Leon's getting larger.
Oh, where did you get that dress?
It's awful.
Awful.
Even all the way to the end, where it's up the climax of the film, and they're driving the plane onward, and you see a shot of the lights.
The lights going out.
They just go out, and you see Ted and Elaine look at each other, and you just see Johnny with the plug and an unused outlet. He's just laughing. And just kidding.
Just kidding.
It's so dumb. That like you said, it's like in this film that its whole thesis is about non-comedic actors doing jokes but non-comedically. He just sticks out like a sore thumb.
But in the best way.
But in the absolute best way, because so many of this it's just nonsense. He
doesn't even really do anything for this story either.
No.
His job title isn't important. He doesn't contribute anything. All he ever really does is make fun of other people or do things that are not contributive towards the driving force of the plot, air quotes. But he's funny when they go to the control room so that they can get, they could see the landing and everything. They take Kramer, they take the other guy because they're important, and then they just take Johnny.
Yeah, just take him. I'm so glad they do.
Oh, well, me too.
The only reason Johnny is in here was because in the in 0 Hour there actually is a line about how about some coffee, Johnny, and they just made an entire character off of that where he just said no thanks.
I love stuff like that. You can make a character off a one line.
I look, so much of this is the actor himself, just feeding
around.
feeding off of the energy of that. The scene where they're reading the headlines and a plane is gonna crash, airline is negligent, there's a sale of pennies. It's so stupid.
Oh, one of the stupidest. This doesn't have to do with Johnny, but it's one of the stupidest puns in the movie. All right, let's get some pictures.
I was gonna mention that one.
and while they're taking one of the pictures, one of the guy goes, "Ooh, I love this one."
Oh, I want the one that's gonna cover a wall.
There's a lot of dumb jokes like that. That's impossible. They're on instruments, and it literally just cuts to them playing music.
That one is actually Saturday, straight out of Saturday Morning. It's so dumb.
Oh gosh. Did we already run out of things to say?
No. There's tons of things to talk about. It's mostly just we're just, instead of talking about the plot and how everything is, we just been talking about jokes that we love. And there's still a lot of jokes, like the mirror joke. Oh my god.
Oh, there's so many jokes that only make sense in the realm of film. where it's like on paper, it's not. It's like this is kind of weird, and it's one of those where it's like just trust me on this. Like it's gonna be funny. like he walks through the mirror. Like just trust me on this. Just trust me. There's so many like visual gags that is just kind of hard to explain. You just have to be there, and it's the way that the so many of this is executed is just like really top notch. And I will say that there is a later Zaz film called Top Secret, which is that to the extreme. Like there are so many like filmmaking gags that like a gag that only makes sense within film, where they take like all those sorts of cliches and they like turn it over their heads. So if that's the stuff you're into, I highly recommend a Top Secret. Like there's just so many weird gags. Oh gosh, I'm looking through my notes. Do you remember that point where like there was a guy that's drinking whiskey and he offers it to an old lady and it's like certainly not, and then she starts snorting cocaine.
Yep.
There's like all those sorts of like small gags that like it don't amount to anything. Like the horse in the bed. Like there's a bit the Robert Stack's wife is having an affair with the horse, and then that's it. It doesn't pay off.
That's all.
That's all we get out of that.
The only thing that could possibly be somewhat related to that was like when the captain, I forget his name already. The captain is telling Ted how to like land the plane. You see that wife like snuggling up to him and like rubbing him and stuff.
Yeah,
he looks at her like, excuse me.
And it's like that's his wife too, and he's still like standoff about it. Maybe
that's not his wife. That's that's the pilot's wife.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's Kramer's wife.
No, it's not Kramer's wife. It's the pilot of the plane.
Oh wait, so who the hell is that lady?
That's the pilot's wife.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, Kramer.
No. Oh my.
The
How
pilot,
do you watch the movie this many times and not know this? The guy flying the plane at the beginning of the movie. Captain Over, Roger.
Oh,
what?
Captain Over's. That's the thing. If you just say pilot, I'm thinking of like 3 different people. I'm thinking of Ted. I'm thinking of Captain Over, and I'm thinking of of Robert Kramer or whatever his name.
Yeah, but didn't
Kramer.
you watch this movie like a ton of times?
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, all he said was pilot. He just said the pilot's wife, and I was like, what? But there's like 3 pilots. You gotta work. Give me something to work with here. But yes, okay, that's
There
Captain
is only
Over.
one river.
Oh yeah, that's another one where it's a reference to one of the airport movies where there's like a non-playing guitar to a sick little girl on a plane, and they do this. It's so stupid because the whole gag is that the little girl makes a funny face while everybody's like clapping along.
She's dying.
She's dying, yeah.
And you just at the end you see the I think the mother just like desperately trying to
like suddenly realizing what was going on. Yeah.
At first she's just like, getting into it, doesn't even notice.
The joke within that I really like was she starts playing the River of Jordan, and all the passengers are looking at her, and there's like everyone's like leaning in, like smiling, and there's a guy from the ceiling going down and smiling as well, upside down, and then and
even the
like,
pilots
and then the pilot the pilot and co-pilot are smiling at each other, and then the navigator looks straight at the camera and smiles at the audience.
Yes. I like that the only reason the mom notices that her daughter is dying is because the guitar almost hit her.
Yeah.
So after it almost hits her, she gets taken out of the moment, and that's when she realizes my daughter is dying.
And she's like banging on her chest. Yeah.
And it makes goofy cartoon sound effects.
Oh yeah, it's just a little pop.
I like when they get the call about the heart transplant. The heart is jumping around on the table.
No, if we're talking about cause we were talking about background gag. The fact that that's at the Mayo Clinic, and behind the doctor is all these shelves of jars of mayo. And
like, you
Give me
like
turkey,
a-
hold the mayo.
yes, that's the point. Is that like they did all
Give me
that
ham,
setup.
babe.
Ham. Okay, thank you.
That's right. They did all that setup just so that the pilot said, "Okay, give me ham on 5, hold the mayo."
You know, speaking of airport jokes, we mentioned this in the beginning, but we didn't really talk about the white zone is for loading passengers only, and how that led
Into the abortion. It's the most logical thing to do.
You know, I think that was the moment where I was like, oh boy.
I remember that's the one. Yeah, same. When you two showed me the movie for the first time, that's the first time. If I had water, it'd be its spit take.
Especially
If I had water, I would just have a drinking problem, throw it in my face.
Don't start with your white zone shit again. it's so
Like these two have a history of this.
Another thing is that like the dialogue itself is so matter of fact. Like again, on paper it's not funny, but in the context of of them bickering over the intercom of an airport while they're trying to like figure out white zone, red zone.
Oh man, there's so many good jokes in
It
this.
really
Is there
is.
anything that we didn't like about it beyond how bad the racial stereotyping was? My big thing, and this has more to do with the times than anything. As far as comedies go, I tend to be a fan of comedies that are either faster paced or kind of having more even tone to them. And towards the middle and the end, Airplane did a good job with that, but it was a slow start.
Yeah, I know.
This movie is a very slow start, and I mean, I can get through it. Like, I'm not, dreading every minute of it or anything. I don't think it's bad, but I was aside from the laughs, I felt very unengaged towards the beginning. I guess that's kind of what you two were feeling towards Redline, except for me, it didn't last the whole movie. It only lasted for the first third.
Because I did mention a little earlier with that, like there's a lot of stuff that like in the context of itself it's not very funny, but it's more set up for later on. Like I said, the religious zealot, like she says no thank you and then it moved on, but there's no gag there, there's no joke, it's just setting up that like, oh, there are these religious zealots in the airport and they're trying to like get people to donate and people are saying no, or the setup with the Ted and Elaine, like Ted is saying like, please, I promise we can a second chance, and she says, oh, I'm going over to Chicago, and again, like all that stuff is like line for line from a completely serious movie, and it's only
but there's still gags. There's still like the heart jumping around. Give me ham on 5, hold the mayo.
Yeah,
I love you, Bill. Goodbye. Take this watch. Well, you love this watch. It's okay. It doesn't work.
I want one flight to Chicago. Smoking or non-smoking? Smoking, please. And just see a ticket that's in
that's one of the many jokes that like it doesn't age well just because like it doesn't make sense anymore. Like
because now you can't smoke on an airplane. But.
Or like that, and there's a bit where they're going through security, and there's people are walking through the metal detector, and on the screen is like an X-ray. Like at the time, that was a ridiculous idea. Now that's just real life.
Yes, stuff like that might not be appropriate. Like it might not apply anymore. But the stuff like that, you can say, all right, well, it was an older time. That's fine. It's not like the racial stereotypes where it's just not okay,
Yeah, it's just straight up.
This is more just stuff that it's like, oh, that's not how it works anymore. But with the knowledge of this was the 1980s, you can laugh.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about the slower pace at the start. I feel like there's a reason why comedies that are really slow paced and focus on setup at the start just kind of died out.
I probably would have to go and check like Naked Gun and Top Secret, because I don't remember them having like a setup this slow.
Or I want to say this because we're going to be talking about these movies very shortly. But if we want to talk about a movie that's really funny, consistently really funny, it had setup, but it was still really engaging and really funny. We will talk about Shaun of the Dead. but that is a prime example. So much setup, but so many laughs. There's still story. There's still laughs. There's still well, there's no agency, but that's the point. But it's still like this all works while it's setting up the movie. And I understand that not many movies can be as good as Shaun of the Dead. But when you have a movie like this, that it's like it could be if it started off paced better.
I think
like the jokes are there, the characters are there, the setup is there. It's just the pacing of it was just too. And I know it was, like I said, it was different time, different standards for comedy. I understand that, but like I said, I also think there's a reason why movies don't start like this anymore. I mean, if you want a movie before that, I'm pretty sure I have to watch Young Frankenstein again, but I remember that movie having a similar start to this, but I was really getting into Young Frankenstein from right away.
Yeah.
And
just the movie starting this slowly, just for the kind of, dumb, silly movie that it was. It didn't perfectly, like, I remember I was watching the movie, and I was like, oh god, this is funny, but, like, there is more to this, right? I definitely think the movie, like, once the movie picked up, personally for me, it was probably around when, the passengers started getting sick and stuff. When they started introducing more characters, maybe, but once it picked up, solid, no pun intended, but solid cruising from there, It was just the rest of the movie was, hit after hit. I'm like, I know we kind of said it already, but I'm thinking at least the start, it was kind of what you two were thinking with Red Line. It's just, it wasn't so much the lack of agency. It was just, even though there were jokes and I was laughing, nothing was really sticking.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the movie really hit its groove that I was like, all right, this is what I remember.
Yeah, I can see that. Random, you've been quiet though. I feel like
I mean, I've been mostly agreeing with you guys. Like, I'm still trying to think if there's anything I didn't really like about it that wasn't said already, like the stereotypes. And I don't know, the beginning didn't bother me too much, but I can understand it being a bit slow.
And I don't terribly mind slower starts either. It's just I already spoke.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's anything, like, there's no actor I hated. I guess the only nitpick would be, like, some jokes aren't developed as much as I think they could be, or they're just, like some jokes don't go anywhere. That would be, but then again, they always seem to just find, like, a payoff of some sort, but they don't really stay in the movie. Like, a lot of times, Airplane will just ditch things.
Oh, we talked about some of that. Yeah, the stuff. I noticed that there were a couple like running gags that were missing a third. They were missing like the big payoff.
And on that note, timer's up, kids. Time for final thoughts.
That's right. Kirbyfan, do you want to start or?
I want to go last.
Okay.
All right.
Random, why don't you go first? Since I went first.
Okay, since I've been voluntold to go first.
Jeez.
It was a good film. It was very comedic. It wasn't the perfect film that I remember it being, like the perfect comedy.
Yeah.
Because there was some flaws. As you said, the beginning was kind of slow, but didn't really bother me. There were a lot of racial stereotypes that just really made me just like, But what was good in the film was really good. Most of the actors did a great performance. The jokes were silly and just hitting you mile per minute. The running gags really worked. The stupid jokes really worked. The jokes that weren't racist worked. And
the jokes that weren't horrible were good.
Yeah. And I still like it. I still want to watch it every once in a while. Especially because if I ever want to get some dumb comedy, just like laugh at some really dumb comedy. Because I think it's a perfect dumb comedic film, and it's not too dumb to the point where where it's not the dumb type where it's like date movie, Meet the Spartans. That's dumb.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
That's the stuff where it's like they're not even like making fun of stuff. They're just like saying like Hannah Montana Kung Fu Panda, like just horrendous, non-comedy.
Yeah, it's just name drops. But Airplane doesn't do that. It does a good job of actually making a serious script and turning it into something funny. And has it aged well at points? No. There's some points where it has not aged well. Do I still laugh at it? Yes. Do I think it's perfect? No, I don't. Do I still enjoy it though? Yes, I still like it.
Okay. I will say, yeah. I think I enjoyed this a good amount. I look. I can't lie. There was quite a lot of it where I was like chortling, just having like a loud like hyena laugh during so many of these dumb gags. Again, like if you're gonna watch this movie, definitely like right afterwards, look up the AV Club's oral history of Airplane, because like honestly, the stories of this are just fascinating for me. Just like two guys who had a sketch film that did like okay, and suddenly they were given a much bigger budget and all these like world-class actors, and telling them to like play this dumb fart gag extremely seriously. Like the Captain Over when the doctor's like listing all the symptoms, and like Captain Over has experienced them all in real time, and explosive diarrhea and stuff.
And followed by the inevitable drooling.
It's so stupid. It's so dumb. I think that there are probably better films that have a similar pacing to this. Even among the Zucker Abraham Zucker films, it's been a while, but I probably would if you would rather not see all that really crappy stuff. At least from what I remember, I could be remembering it all wrong, but Top Secret is very good. Naked Gun, the first Naked Gun, because I know there's the jokes get like pretty bad in the sequel. Hot Shots Part Duix. That one is so it is, oh man, it's so good. That one's really funny. And yeah, there's and also like just like stuff from like Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
Young Frankenstein. I Blazing Saddles holds up a surprising amount. Edgar Wright. Honestly, for me, like it's not quite to the stupidity of Airplanes, but like the sheer speed. It is wonderful. Yeah, so it's like it's a good starting off point. It's just that like there's quite a lot of it that's just like yeah. But it's the I think it's an important film. It may not necessarily be a great film. I still have good some good laughs. It's just like yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just like no thank you. Kirby fan, what about you?
I'll keep it brief because you've both said a lot of what I would have to say on it. Obviously, I've been speaking throughout the podcast, but the Spark Notes version of what I have to say, very funny movie. Once I started getting into it, I was really into it. There were a lot of laughs, a lot of great setups, a lot of great payoffs. Funny characters, stoic characters that were played to be funny characters. It all paid off. It was great fun, but the racial stuff just really turns me off. And it didn't start as the incredibly comedic movie that I remember it being. And it is good. I have the feeling that it should be great. You know, I should see this movie. To make this comparison for the 10 millionth time, I should look at this movie to a similar manner that I look at Redline. But whereas Redline, I'm a big fan of, this one I thought I was going to be a big fan of, but it's good. I still definitely like it. I would still recommend it to, how do I want to say this? I would recommend it to people that can understand that this movie was from a different time in multiple regards, in the racial regard, in the pacing regard, and in regards to things like the metal detector, like we were talking about. If you can understand that this was from a different time, you can accept that and just take it for what it was. I think you'll get a big laugh out of it, but I do totally understand that there are people that, you know, they look at the racial jokes and they just say, you know, it's unacceptable, which it is. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
But if you take it, you might like it. I still think it's a really, really fun movie, despite its problems.
I would say that this is probably a good film if you if you want to be a student of comedy, because quite a lot of what works about this is the direction in this film, especially just like how they take like we said, how they take like completely serious dramatic actors and giving them these stupid jokes, like like so much of that just kind of just elevates them even further. Just like it's interesting to like study just how well the timing of these jokes get, how well the performances get, the editing, the way that jokes are shot just for like the scene with the mirror that we were talking about, where the guy stepped through the mirror. That only works in the edit. Like you have to kind of be careful about that. But the way that they set up him standing in front of the mirror, and then like it cuts to another shot, and then it cuts back, and he's stepping through the mirror he was looking through. Like that's some smart stuff, I would say. So it's good for like the students of comedy, but like it's also something where it's like, so the other thing is that like comedy is one of the fastest genres to age poorly, because there's so many like great comedies that where they have jokes, especially great comedies of way back, where they have jokes that was like, what the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the you ever seen a grown man naked? Like the sort of like gay panic joke of the time. It's just like, oh, good lord. You know, it's.
And on that note,
yes,
thanks for watching.
Yes.
We don't have
an ending thing. We're not ranking any of these. These are just
our ending thing was Wash's ramble.
Oh, that's mean.
Oh well. Anyway,
I honestly was looking up, because I was trying to look up like some good But
how do we end this?
Because I was looking up, because like when Kirby was doing the CinemaSon, she was figuring out all these sort of like questions at the end. It would be almost like a book club where you have like here's something to consider. But it was hard for me to find that because like
I mean, I think we're good to just end it on the note of airplanes is funny, but there are things that haven't aged too well.
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
And it hasn't aged too well, and then it's like it's funny and that's it. There's no it doesn't have like outstanding like characters beyond the performers.
You know what I didn't say? I didn't fall into the trap and say this movie had good animation like I thought I was going to.
Congratulations! You have
more.
Why,
Animation
thank you.
The animation on Liam Leslie Nelson's incredible.
Liam Neeson, I heard that.
Liam Neeson. Oh,
let's end it on that. Let's end it on that.
All right.
Let's end it on
I'm Random Bystander here.
I am the Wash.
And I just wanted to say, good luck. We're all counting on you.
We have to do that one. All right.
Of course.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you with
Good night.
That's About Right.
Yep.